Oh, I'm live just when I realized I need to go. I need to go get my matcha latte. Oh, okay. So hang on for a second. Okay, here's my matcha latte to calm me down because I'm so hyped up right now. I'm having a huge dopamine dump because I just made this incredible live and Jeannie and Ray and maybe some others were with me and totally energized. And it was a very powerful message, but I made it with my phone and it's still uploading. So I was like, I'm still on fire. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta say this. I gotta talk more. More downloads. So this one's on Ophelia. Okay, so maybe Jeannie can help me figure this out, but I don't know when she crossed my path, but it was like the last couple of days. My daughter was like, how did you get into this? I'm like, I can't quite remember. I didn't know she was an asteroid, and it's actually very difficult to find. So you're going to be dying to know where your Ophelia is. So I will tell you where I found it. Jeannie found it for me. You go to astro.com, that thing called Astrodienst. And you do have to like sign up and get a subscription or whatever, which seems like they protect your privacy. It seems like a very low test thing to do. And then you just navigate the sites. They don't call it a free chart, they call it a horoscope or whatever. You just have to scroll around and then you actually have to type it in. They're like, look for a specific aspect or something like that. And it's, you have to type in 171. And then it will find that asteroid that has been named Ophelia. Okay. Mine is conjunct with Pluto and Uranus in the 12th house. So, astrologers, that's, you know what that means. That's just like, I mean, my very amateur take on it is like, whoa, this is a big deal. This is going to be very transformational for you. So, the name means aid, help, or advantage. There, the main thrust of the interpretation is because in the play Hamlet, Shakespeare, or Sir Francis Bacon, named this character Ophelia, and so the whole archetype is taken from its free thought. Um, okay, yeah, tell me what you mean by that. But anyway, so here's the deal. Here's the story of Ophelia, and then I'll tell you the kind of what I have redeemed from the interpretation. Okay, so the storyline goes, and I haven't watched Hamlet or even read it, so this might be a little off because I saw the movie Ophelia, who Ophelia is played by the gal that plays Rey in the new Star Wars. So like it's a retelling of Ophelia from her point of view. And I was like, oh, I gotta watch that. And it's really cool. It's not exactly in alignment with my interpretation, but anyway, in the story, the phrase is she misinterprets Hamlet's affections or attentions towards her. She's madly in love with him. He doesn't requite her love. She feels like a fool, goes insane, and drowns herself. And so she's thought of like she represents suicide and insanity and obsession. It's like, whoa, that's pretty dark. Okay, but who hasn't been there a time or two? At least on the periphery of it, right? Okay, so confession, because she holds such an incredibly powerful place in my chart. Yes, I've been through this over and over and over. And obviously, I didn't drown myself, but I did. And I died and I came back to life. And so the next part of this story has to be written. And it's not out there. I did the rabbit hole thing. I went ballistic, obsessive, fixated on what can I find on Ophelia. And I finally just went within and I was like, what's my story on Ophelia? Okay, so here's my interpretation because this happened to me. So here's my story. Also, I have 3 of Hearts ascending Pluto, which fits right in with this. Not exactly the same thing, but from the time I was in kindergarten, I would fixate on a guy and get attached to him. And it started in kindergarten. And then the need to fixate and create a fantasy and a dream, be in love with, but not pursue and create all kinds of illusions about it. Like that was the point. It was like a self-sustaining, self-feeding thing. Reality was an interruption. Okay, so yes, it was guy after guy after guy until like in high school, there was this one guy I was fixated on for 5 years till he just married someone else. And then there was a guy in college, and there were three Tims actually. Isn't that interesting? But anyway, the Tim that I'll tell you about actually helps me to understand. He passed away, but he helps me understand the heart and the guts of this. So in the final analysis, and I won't go through all the guys, but in the next one that lasted about 5 years, he was a spiritual leader of our group, and I became really fixated on him. And then finally, there came this moment where he became aware of my interest, had no idea the kind of interest and the obsessive level of it. And so he entertained a relationship for about a week. Really? You fixated 5 years old in kindergarten, dated someone in high school for 6 years. Wow. Yeah, we're so parallel. Yeah, and our ascending Pluto, Ace of Hearts, Three of Hearts. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, so he finally got in touch with what was going on, and he said, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And I went through this really huge, he was interested in a tantric relationship and I wasn't. So, sorry, I'm not getting to the point. The dive into the waters, which I did then, the grieving allowed me to dive into the emotional waters. It was like I had to give it up. I had to give up. And that's the beauty, that's the end goal of Ophelia. Dive into your emotional waters, drown in your sorrows. Okay, and when there is a fixation, we tend to hold the emotional content, we hold something at bay, kind of so we can sort of keep feeding on something. And when we give into the grief and the emotions and what's really going on there, we can heal something. So here's what's really happening in the obsession fixation thing is that you're looking for your lost parts. I mean, when you get the image of someone who, like this young girl who's just in love and fixated and obsessed to just like in fantasy world, there's an emptiness about that archetype, isn't there? Kind of an emptiness. It's because she's out of touch with herself. That's what she's seeking. That's what she's in love with. That's what she's fixated on finding. But she thinks it's outside herself in this guy. And so you will do this until you get yourself back. And there is this scene in the Joy Luck Club where this girl is with this incredibly controlling guy who's like controlling her diet and just like he's a total selfish, narcissistic asshole. And the mother says, when she was a baby, I was going through this grief process and I had no spirit to give her. So she's empty. And then the mother is upstairs and she hears this kind of violence going on, and this girl is beginning to figure out the whole caretaking thing. She's poured herself into this narcissist and gotten nothing back. And the mother says something like, yes, she will lose the marriage, but what she will find is herself. And that's the whole key, right? I mean, that's the whole beautiful thing. Jeannie told everyone this boy Delmer was my boyfriend, and I kissed him on the lips. Yep, I did that. Funny thing is they all have some resemblance to my current partner for 16 years old. It's crazy how interconnected this is and interwoven with purpose, love, destiny, higher self, energy, because I'll tell you about this Tim guy. I'm convinced I came here to look for my current partner, Tony, and all those others reminded me of him in some way, and I kept searching till I finally found him. They even looked like him, all of them, even the kindergarten one, and then the the most, which is wild. Like my kid self remembered some of the reason I reincarnated into this life. The one I've been with 16 years, that's beautiful. That is absolutely amazing. And each of us has a unique story like that that we're unfolding, the coincidences, the resonances, the signs, the synchronicities, and we have to go within to find that. So so anyway, Ophelia is that experience wherever she is in your chart. For me, 12th house conjunct Pluto and Uranus. Okay, I was born in 66, which is like the 60s. I had my very first astrological reading, which I waited till I was like in my 30s till I got this. And she said, "You are the 60s. You weren't just born in the 60s, you are the 60s." And somehow I represent whatever that period of time was about. And so that upheaval, that collision that brought about, it was violent, it was scary. Vietnam War, protests, it was violent, it was just really scary, it was terrible. But something got birthed out of that, that cataclysmic death, the death throes, which we're kind of going through now, right, with the same intersection. But in my personal chart, it meant that I would have to go through the death throes. And one guy that I broke up with only lasted a couple months, and I looked into it and I saw that we had a 5-year option chunking down to a 2-month option, and we picked the 2-month option to resolve this past life of like, oh, we never got together and we had to do this. And then at the end he just had nothing left and didn't ever just like say it's over. And I just had to figure out that it was empty and that I was holding on to something that held nothing for me. And that's the obsession, the fixation. This guy is not holding, he's not holding your goods. And you have to go through the grief process of recognizing there's no love there, it's empty. And then the grief process is you beginning to fill up the cistern of your own well with your essence, with the missing pieces. That crying, the grief process, the drowning in your sorrows is absolutely essential. You have to get to a point where you give in to that. That's the point of Ophelia. So, another sideline about if you're obsessed, if you're fixated with someone, here's something very, very useful and therapeutic. This is how to turn this compost into a plant. This is the point of the obsession. You make a list of everything that you're in love with about that guy. Well, he's kind. He knows how to speak his mind. He's like really calm and centered. Okay, so the Greg character. I was fixated on him because there was an integration of everything he was teaching that had taken root in the soil of his being. And even though we saw his ego, there was the essence right next to it. And he became a divine portal for the teaching in himself, in the soil of his own being. That is me, right? I mean, that is my archetype. That's my human design. That's my astrology. That's my card. That's how I show up in the world to deliver my goodies. And so that's what I was in love with, myself. And I was trying to find it. So there's a clue. There is a reason you're fixated on who you're fixated on. Very, very specific reasons at that point in your life. And you're blind to all else, right? Because this is the narcissus. You're looking in the pool. This is her narcissus time. When she's looking in the pool and she sees the reflection of her beloved, but it's really her. It just has his face on it, but it's her. I said that to Greg one time. I said, I realized that I'm in love with myself. It's just that that part of myself has your face on it. Okay, yeah, it's like so big. That's so big. So the Tim guy that I fell in love with, he was a catalyst, a bridge that helped me find myself. And I wasn't fixated on him. I was deeply, deeply in love with him. And this really isn't the Ophelia thing, but just to round that out, he helped me. This is the charts ascending Pluto. He helped me get out of a marriage that I desperately needed to get out of and get on my spiritual path. He was the catalyst that brought me to myself. And then he left my life. He's like, I can't be the one that got you to break up with your husband because I just went through that. My wife had an affair, ended our relationship, and I can't be that guy. So he left. I looked for him once a year, like on Facebook, over a period of about 15 years. More, 20, like 20 years. Never found him. And then on his birthday one year, I'm just laying there sleeping. I'm like, oh, it's Tim's birthday, April 8th, King of Diamonds. And he goes, which is my Neptune card. And he goes, you can look for me now. So I looked for him and I found his obituary. And for the next 2 weeks, we communed and got caught up. And it was the most healing, transformational, beautiful. It was just, and he still comes through on occasion. I was told our relationship is not special. And that's to keep my ego out of it. Special is the ego's favorite word. I'm so special. And that's why other people's egos really rub us the wrong way, is because their specialness is messing with our specialness. And Evan Hodkins said that. That's not mine. That's Evan Hodkins. Amazing modern mystic. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. If there are any other comments, and yeah, I noticed we have a few other joiners. So yeah, Jeannie, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And you know, the whole obsession thing, when you're obsessed with someone, it's so shameful, isn't it? Don't you feel so ashamed and you bury it and you're like, ooh. And that's it, the whole Ophelia character. It feels like weakness. And it's because you're using a crutch to get back to yourself. How many things are that? But there's this kind of, I don't know, you can kind of feel it. This is a weakness, but you're trying to heal yourself. So anyway, you have to just dispense with the shame and go all in. You have to go all in. And that's what I realized with Greg, is like, I'm in it, I'm feeling it, but I'm resisting it. I'm pulling away. I'm in denial. I was in a lot of other relationships while I was obsessed with him. And like, he was the gold standard and unattainable, and I knew it would probably never happen. But I couldn't help myself. And then finally I said, I have to walk towards this. I have to get inside this. I have to take it apart. I have to deconstruct it. I need to know why this is happening, because it's fucking controlling my life. And then I did. And then he showed up and like, hey, maybe we could be in a relationship. And of course I was blissed out for a week until he figured out, oh, okay, she's fixated on me. I wanted a tantric relationship. And he was honorable by saying, no, this shouldn't happen. It would have just destroyed me. Oof, would have consumed me. So then I began my healing path out of that. So that's what Ophelia is. So you can heal from it, totally heal from it. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. I'm just starting to repeat myself. So thank you so much for listening. Oh, Jeannie says, no, I was open about it and then regretted it. Maybe I should have hid it a bit. It's the Aries. I saw what I wanted and went after it. All right, you just like grabbed and came on the lips. You questioned your decisions later. Problem is, I always got all the guys I wanted, but my happiness was within me and not with them. Yeah, that's the big lesson of relationship, is everything that's unfulfilled becomes an opportunity for the U-turn to come back to the self. And it doesn't mean the relationship isn't destined and has healing potential, and that actual relationship where you're both conscious and you're in real time, you're in the present, and it's fun and good, and you're really enjoying each other, and you need them and they need you, and you switch roles, and like, that's all powerful and good. But so much of the dysfunctional part of relationship is that you're looking for yourself. That's where the Byron Katie work comes in. But anyway, thank you so much for listening and have a great day. Hopefully my other video is uploaded. Is it ready? No! Oh well. Jeannie, they served as a mirror. The love I gave them was the one I needed to give myself. Exactly. Exactly. And when you can turn that around and figure it out, it seems like an anticlimactic thing to come back to the self. But when you do, and you really do, that's your foundation. You'll never be the same. It's the juju. Okay.